So yes, the winning moments of the dinosaurs killing each other are amazing. But I took the challenge of just ranking them all just to exert myself. The deaths will be ranked on how original it is as well as how it plays out. However, if there's two dinos in one fight and one of them dies in the middle, that won't count. So with that out of the way, let's rank! #45, Triceratops vs Pachycephalosaurus. This is the most generic death ever. Basically, Triceratops just charges Pachycephalosaurus while it just goes flying in the air. That's basically the best part of this death. #44, Pentaceratops vs Tuojiangosaurus. Again, it's a charge strike from Pentaceratops after an impressively dodged attack. However, this time it's more realistic than the last fight, and this time it's not a flying dino, which is actually kind of sad, but for the greater good. #43, Pentaceratops vs Styracosaurus. This is different, except Styracosaurus just gives up in the end. They don't even have a roar off. This is a little bit disappointing, but hey, at least it's kind of original. #42, Titanoceratops vs Hylaeosaurus. What makes this death different is what happens before the death. I really loved it when Titanoceratops retaliates and kills Hylaeosaurus. Otherwise, this death is just the same, another charge attack. #41, Dravidosaurus vs Metaceratops. The great thing about this is that Metaceratops can still kill Dravidosaurus even after its horn just comes off. But of course, it's another charge attack, which is the downside of this. #40, Spinosaurus vs Minmi. I like the deaths, however they're a little lazy. One just falls in the mud, and the other just flies in a tree. Look at that. Even Spinosaurus is literally wondering what the heck happened to them. #39, Ankylosaurus vs Parasaurolophus. The death cause is original, Para's dizziness, but the issue here is just that it just flopped in the mud. It's just too dramatic. Still, I like the death, like all the other deaths. #38, Ankylosaurus vs Tyrannosaurus Rex. Don't get me wrong, this battle was super, but the death here is just meh. Look at this. Killing the Ankylosaurus by the tree is really overused. Plus the death is quite unrealistic. How can it die with all of that armor? #37, Carnotaurus vs Euoplocephalus. I like the battle itself, but the death is also a bit meh. The bite was a good touch to it, but that's just the basic way of killing a creature. So yeah, I just love it when he falls on the floor though, it's just so funny. #36, Baryonyx vs Ankylosaurus. All that's there to say is that it's too basic. I still like this death very much though, because it's just funny. Oh, and if Baryonyx survived, it would have gone concussion for life. #35, Dilophosaurus vs Iguanodon. More basicness, however it's nice to see Iguanodon winning after a long fight. Oh, and also seeing Dilophosaurus dying. #34, Styracosaurus vs Stegosaurus. The battle is quite good because the two opponents are doing well against each other, but it's really good to see Styracosaurus retaliating quite well against him, and then killing Stegosaurus in the end. What's better is that there's no music as well. Okay, maybe the death is a bit basic, but yeah, I still like it quite a lot. #33, Spinosaurus vs Amargasaurus. Well, it's good to see that Spinosaurus is good at killing, and with his huge bite, it kills this Amargasaurus. Look at that. But the only issue is that the other one just runs away. That's the reason that it's not higher for this. #32, Carnotaurus vs Brachiosaurus. You know, when I first saw this, it was really satisfying to see, but really, it's not as good as I expected when you see it after a while, because the problem is you don't even see how Carnotaurus dies. It's just blood. #31, Giganotosaurus vs Centrosaurus. You know, I really like this death because of how it's showcased, but this is a little bit lazy to me since it's another bite. But still, this death was really important to Giganotosaurus. #30, Guanlong vs Chasmosaurus. You know, I love the way that they use the team attack strategy, so it shows a significant change of animation from Pong 1977. I just wish that they used it a little bit further to make it even better. 29. Megaraptor vs. Rubeosaurus. I like the middle death when Megaraptor kills the Rubeosaurus while slamming into the other teammate because that's really original, but the end death is quite disappointing. That Rubeosaurus didn't even die and it just ran away. That's sad. 28. Triceratops vs. Lambeosaurus. This is when deaths start to get way better. Even though this is yet another charge strike, I really like this death because of the mud. It's satisfying to see some dinosaur die in the mud for the first time. 27. Apatosaurus vs. Sauropelta. This death is quite cool. I love just how one of them dies and the other takes revenge and slices Apatosaurus' back and brutally kills it. Look at that. This is so satisfying. It's a decent death, but it's not the best. 26. Fuyangosaurus vs. Cryolophosaurus. This is basically Carnotaurus vs. Brachiosaurus, but it's way better. I really like that headlock before the fatality, but I feel there should have been a little bit more. Otherwise, I like this a lot. 25. Tyrannosaurus vs. Gastonia. Fighting alone against 3 opponents and defeating them all is the sign of a god. And I especially love how at the end of the battle they have a roar-off. However, T-Rex should have just killed the wee guy. But otherwise, this win is really significant for T-Rex because it marks the journey of a new beginning. 24. Ceratosaurus vs. Kentrosaurus. This death is one of the most generic ones out there, but I still really love this because it's one of the most original ones in the DBWC universe. Plus, it's quite satisfying to see Kentrosaurus just flopping down on the floor and dying. 23. Talaurus vs. Tarbosaurus. If the orange one's death was at the end, then this would have been so high. Because my god, look at it. This death is so beautiful. Unfortunately, the blue one's death kind of ruins it. It's just a generic roundabout death. But hey, at least it's shown in slow motion. 22. Tyrannosaurus vs. Fuyangosaurus. This is a short death, my gosh. But I really like how Tyrannosaurus just steps on Fuyangosaurus' head. But that's the short part and also part of the issue, so yeah. 21. Lambeosaurus vs. Xanosaurus. One of the most creative deaths ever. Just look at it. I love it when Lambeosaurus kills it with his crest. That is just beautiful. 20. Allosaurus vs. Saichania. I love the part where the green Saichania dies because it's really creative how it just happens. Unfortunately, the downside is the blue one's death. See, it shouldn't have just broken its neck. It's just a tiny bit plain. But all in all, this death is still quite cool. 19. Dicraeosaurus vs. Shunosaurus. Again, a bit plain, because Shunosaurus attacks with its tail like it always does. But hey, at least Dicraeosaurus gets fully injured so it dies. Because if it didn't, it would have gotten a concussion like Baryonyx. So I would feel bad. 18. Eoraptor vs. Minmi. This is the second thing to start the whole ball rolling thing. I love this death because of the sheer skill of Minmi. It's just amazing. However, the next deaths are even better than this, so watch out! 17. Giganotosaurus vs. Sauropelta. This is epic! I absolutely love it when Sauropelta just gets slammed down mercilessly by Giganotosaurus, and it's even better when it's just dead and hanging out from Giganotosaurus' mouth. 16. Carnotaurus vs. Metaceratops. I'm very surprised that this type of death never happens again, because I love how original this is, how it just falls into the spike pits. 15. Spinosaurus vs. Pentaceratops. While I'm sad that my second favorite dinosaur died, I love this death even though they actually didn't die, because of how much Spinosaurus can just slash it. Although I felt Pentaceratops should have just tried harder and not just gave up. 14. Iguanodon vs. Giganotosaurus. Maybe my favorite dinosaur died, but I still love the power in Giganotosaurus as it just smacks Iguanodon to the trees. It's a bit sad to watch, but for the greater good. 13. Triceratops versus Carnotaurus. It's amazing to see Triceratops in its strongest form yet, as it just smashes Carnotaurus into the tree and then just kills him. Look at that. That is the ultimate Triceratops. 12. Siamotyrannus versus Torosaurus. I love how powerful Siamotyrannus' leg is and how a dinosaur finally sinks in the water. It's high time that happened. I just love how he sinks. 11. Parasaurolophus versus Anchiceratops. Well, this is officially the most creative death in the world. I just love how Parasaurolophus uses that stick, and I just love how he thought of that. It's just amazing. 10. Gigantosaurus versus Spinosaurus. Well, I love that Gigantosaurus gets blinded before his death, and that is just by luck. Nobody knew the icicles would fall, and that basically just makes the end even better. Savage Spinosaurus. 9. Triceratops versus Tyrannosaurus. T-Rex is an ultimate god. I love how it's so alert and sees the Mosasaurus, taking advantage of the situation by flinging Triceratops into the mouth of Mosasaurus. It's such a beautiful death. I love it so much. 8. Suchomimus versus Brachioceratops. The reason why this is so high up the list is because I need to remind you that this death happened after Suchomimus got severely injured. Being able to pull that off is a sign of a god. Well done, Suchomimus. 7. Chunkingosaurus versus Siamosaurus. Well, imagine being Chunkingosaurus, breaking its neck. Well, it'll probably kill you in like 2 seconds. This death lets everyone know that, oh yeah, Kong is back and he's way better at animating now. I love this. 6. Guanlong versus Iguanodon. Oh my god, this death made me love Iguanodon even more than I already did. He's just fed up with getting injured and he just ended it all that right there, right now. That is so beautiful. I love this death so much. 5. Tyrannosaurus versus Spinosaurus. Well, of course this is really high up the list for literally blowing our minds by sending a volcanic asteroid to kill Spinosaurus. Just look at that. However, the reason it's not higher enough is that Spinosaurus didn't even die. 4. Dracorex versus Oviraptor. What can I say about this epic battle when just talking about the big wheel of doom? It's so ingenious that I want to be them. I love this so much. It's so creative and so amazing. Everything about this death is awesome. 3. Dilophosaurus versus Gigantspinosaurus. I love Gigantspinosaurus' spin attack to Dilophosaurus, getting it yet another scar. It's so ingenious and so creative. There's nothing more to say about this except poor Dilophosaurus. 2. Holocampus versus Sauroposeidon. This is probably the most censored death of all time, and I can't complain. Spinning attack is just amazing because it's a teamwork death. Now, it's officially time for number 1. 1. Therizinosaurus versus Alamosaurus. Of course, this is my favorite death, and it's so satisfying. It's also the coolest death ever. The way the blood comes shooting out of Alamosaurus' neck when getting slashed is just beautiful. Everything about this death is just beautiful. And there you have it. Anyway, there might not be some things that you agree with me and some things that you might disagree with, but these are just my views. So I just hope you liked the video, and it took a while to make this because this is my first ranking video, but now that I'm in the spirit of it, I'm gonna make more of these, don't you worry. So yeah, I hope you like this video, so I'll see you in the next video. Peace!